This event took place in April of this year at my local train station. I'm a 21-year-old male from the suburbs of London. One morning at around 9 a.m., I was waiting for my train to go to university. The platform was packed as there were people on their way to work in the city, where my university was also located. I was drinking my hot chocolate when I noticed a man staring at me. He was wearing a business suit and had a rucksack and briefcase. He looked Middle Eastern, and my guess was right. He had a thick Arab accent when he started talking to me. He took a few steps closer to me and asked, "Do you work in Wilson's?" Wilson's is the name of a local car dealership in my area. I replied, "No, I do not. I'm a student." The train came, and I sat right at the back. However, the man sat 3 seats away from me and had his eyes fixed on me. By this point, I was freaked out, so I was just listening to music on my phone and talking to people on WhatsApp. 35 minutes later, the train stopped at the final stop, and I got up, only to find him still staring at me. I got out in a rush as fast as I could. My lessons at uni finished around 5. However, me and my friends stayed for around 2 hours to finish some assignments, then went to grab something to eat and visit the arcade. I arrived at my local train station around 11 p.m., and sure enough, it was empty. I walked through an alleyway to get to the main road so I could get home. What I saw in the alleyway freaked me out. I saw the same man from this morning, standing there and smiling and saying, "Where have you been? I have been waiting for you." I ran back to the train station and tried to climb the stairs to the other platform. As soon as I reached the top of the stairs, he grabbed my ankle, so I kicked his face with my other foot. He screamed and let go, and I ran all the way home and called the police. Some of them came over to my house to ask questions, while the others went to investigate at the station. The next morning, I got a call from the police saying the man was arrested, but what they found in his briefcase and rucksack still makes me think how lucky I got. In his briefcase was a knife and a drill, while his rucksack had a box of matches and a carton of petrol oil. It still haunts me to this day what could have happened if I never kicked him away.
Number 2.
I went away to summer camp. My parents sent me to this hellhole because they did not want me home. The camp was called Camp Summertime. It seemed like a nice camp for the first day, although it was very suspicious. All the camp counselors were weird in a way. Every one of them acted weird. It was so strange there. It all seemed too good to be true. As soon as I got there, the counselors greeted me. I remember one of their names. He was called Brian. I was assigned to him with some other helpless kids. As soon as my parents left, my heart dropped. I was stuck here alone, with strangers. There was no escape. I had no one to accept me. There was something wrong with these counselors. I knew there was, and I was right. They seemed to be psychotic in some way. The first day was fine, don't get me wrong, but it all seemed too fake. The worst part, the other children couldn't sense anything wrong. But after all, I had no proof these people wanted us dead. The second day, things got stranger. The food was disgusting, like most camps, but this food was disgusting in a new way. I don't really have time to explain, even if I could. We had tuna sandwiches at lunch. Then and on, the counselors started to talk about weirder stuff, like tickling kids at night. Even Brian went as far as saying he wanted to sleep with me. It felt so strange, hiking in the woods at evening when at any time the hellish counselor could kill us. Then at night, we had tuna sandwiches again. We eventually went to bed. I couldn't really fall asleep. Then I woke up to the sound of the door closing. I just figured someone was going to the bathroom as there were none in the cabin. I soon fell back asleep, and then I woke up early. I went down to get my stuff under me since I slept at the top bunk, and noticed Mark was gone. He slept under me. He could have woken up earlier and could be out and about. However, this was unlikely because I woke up at 5 a.m. and the time we needed to wake up is 7 a.m. So I pretty much waited until 7, feeling creeped out until we left to eat for breakfast. And guess what we ate? Tuna. Fucking psychos. I wish I didn't eat any, but I was hungry, and I thought it was tuna even after Mark was gone. I was stupid. Soon I found out what the hell this camp was all about. A few days later, I felt desperate. People were disappearing, and it just got stranger. They started making us wear no shirts. They took our clothes, raped some kids. I needed to escape. This was living hell in a camp. I could tell all the children were desperate. We all needed to go. All we fucking could eat is tuna. Soon there was only 5 of us. We knew we had to do something, but we were kids. I was planning to escape. At night, I would run away. I also started to get sick and kept on throwing up. All of the hellish counselors were saying to go to the health office. If you went there, you were done. It was night. I was going to get out. I had to. I stayed up, and at 12, I booked it, but I was greeted at the door by the chief, and he was nude. He picked me up and I screamed. He then kept my mouth shut. He brought me to the kitchen. I nearly threw up on him when he said he was going to make me into tuna. He followed that up by a laugh. I soon heard sirens, and a SWAT team invaded the camp and shot the chief before he could finish chopping my leg off. Yes, he was halfway into my leg. I was rushed into the hospital. It turned out that a resident called the cops, and then they sent a SWAT team to the camp. If you were wondering why a SWAT team, it turned out that 18 patients escaped an insane asylum. They went to the camp and killed the real counselors by making them into meat or tuna. Also, they made 15 kids into tuna. However, there were only 17 people found at this camp. I was glad to be home. My mother greeted me when I was dropped off by the police. They explained what happened, and she smiled and hugged me. Then she said, "Come in the house. I made really tasty tuna sandwiches."